Hello, welcome back. Alyssa here with a bullet journaling video this time, and this is my September plan with me. So as always, first I'm gonna flip through my month of August. And some of you might have noticed if you're following my Instagram that August was kind of a rough month for me. I'm trying to get through it, trying to get some stuff done before the end of the month, but I was not as productive as I would have liked to have been. And that's okay. You know, I had a really tough month with work, and then I had some personal issues recently that kind of interrupted. So a lot of these spreads are going to look a little empty, they're going to look a little bit incomplete, but that's okay. I'm not letting it get me down for too long. I'm going to move on. I've been doing a lot of reading lately to get myself pumped about writing again, and it is kind of working. I'm looking for some good fantasy romance if you have any suggestions. The story I'm working on is a fantasy story with a heavy romance element, so I'm trying to get ideas and inspiration. My gratitude and expense log turned out pretty good. I kept up with my gratitude really well this month, and the expenses I've kept up as well, though those are, like I've mentioned before, I keep those at a delay so all the transactions post before I start putting things down. I really enjoyed a lot of my daily and weekly spreads this month. I used a lot of watercolor, which is something I haven't done in a little bit. And then I also used some very bright inks. Some of these you see here are Diamine Coral, Diamine Cerise, Robert Oster Blue Water Ice, and the Colorverse Andromeda, I believe, is the dark purpley red color. And here we are at this week. I have a space to do my retrospective and then my goal/task list here on the left. And there's a little bit of stuff that I can fill in here so it doesn't look quite so empty. But like I said, it's been a rough month, a rough couple of weeks, and I'm not going to beat myself down for that. I really like the decorations on this page. I did this kind of mystical smoke watercolor background, and it's just kind of soothing. The colors are really nice and soft. The inks I've used on my most recent dailies are kind of dark for me. I don't really find this page pleasing to look at, and one thing I've noticed is that I just don't really like purpley reds or reddish purples. Colors like this Colorverse Andromeda ink, which is a fine ink. I don't have any complaints about how it writes or the quality of the ink, but every time I try to use these reddish purple inks, I get kind of sick of them by the time I'm done. So I feel like maybe I should stop doing that and focus on ink colors that I really enjoy. And that's it for this week. I did a little bit of journaling that I plan on adding to later. And then I'm skipping a couple of spreads to put next week or this week. When you're watching this, put my spreads here, and then I'm going to start my September monthly pages. Now, it's not super clear from this view, this overhead view, but this notebook is almost done. I have maybe 20 pages left, not a whole lot. I think there should be enough for September, but what I did was I ordered a Hippo Noto, and I didn't quite realize that they had kind of a queue going on. So they initially were a Kickstarter, and then they kind of sell more notebooks in the form of late pledges. And so I didn't fully read the page, and I feel kind of bad for this. So I ordered it, and then I was kind of wondering where it was. I didn't get a shipping notification or anything, so I messaged the support, and they got right back to me. It was really good. And it turns out I did not read the order page all the way, and there is a queue, and it's like first come first serve. They'll fill the orders as they get more notebooks in, and they do have like Kickstarter initial Kickstarter pledges to work through still. So I messaged customer service and I felt kind of bad afterwards because it was right there on the page. But I had intended for that to be my next bullet journal, and I didn't really consider the fact that it would take a bit to get here. So I'm gonna try and fit September in this notebook. If it doesn't quite fit, I think I should have that hippo noto in a few weeks. I'm not sure, but I'll make something work. You know, maybe I'll get some of my Tomoe River paper sheets and just journal on those and like stick those in or something. I'll make it work, and I'll let you guys know what I did. As far as September setup, I'm keeping things really simple this month. Things seem to keep getting busier somehow, defying the laws of time and physics. So I want to keep my notebook simple, and I want it to be very easy for me to kind of fill in and easy to use to keep myself on track. So I'm just doing some little ink doodles. This is a pattern I use all the time. I really like it. It's just lines, but the way that you angle them and adding more weight to some of the lines just makes it interesting to look at. And so I'm just filling this in. I have my column on the left for my goals, which I'm just going to list. I'm not going to bother categorizing goals this month. I'm just going to list them out. And then on the right side, I thought I would do something like periodically check in, write down big things that I got done, you know, uh, big bits of effort. So like if I have a long painting session, or if I get a lot of writing done and I'm really proud of it, I'm just gonna write those things down on the right side there, and I think it's gonna kind of push me along and help me get some things done. And on the right page, I'm doing another productivity tracker just like I had last month. And I thought it was kind of funny. I was making these columns to mark down which type of work I'm doing on a specific day, and I put them in this order: writing, art, S for my company Subatronics, and then AP for app development. And it's like it spells out what's up, and I thought that was pretty funny. So I left it that way after I outlined it here in pencil. I thought it was pretty good to keep. So here's a funny little thing for you. And I did actually count out these rows incorrectly the first time. So this little corner on the bottom right is too high. I had to bring it down one more row, but it's not a big deal. Bullet journaling, you can make mistakes, you can just keep going. Nothing bad will happen. If you make a line somewhere in your journal where you don't want a line to be, you just move on and everything's fine. And so how I'll fill this in, I've done these before, but pretty much I'll just put a highlight of some kind under the column for the type of productive work I do each day. So if I do writing, I'll highlight the writing block for the day I'm on, or if I do some app development, I'll highlight that block. And then the right section of this right page is just going to be a little note about what I did. So kind of like a day-to-day version of that progress column on the left, and then the progress column is going to be really for bigger things or just overall descriptions of what I'm getting done. And then this right page will be just teeny little lines about specific things I did each day. On the next spread here, I'm kind of doing a new take on a spread I've done many times before. So this is a new take on the habit tracker. And what I decided to do with this page was on this left page, I'm writing out my routine. So some of these tasks will be things I need to do first thing in the morning, some afternoon, some evening, but I'm just going to list out everything I would like to do on each day to kind of support my ongoing health, support myself and my mental health as well. And then I'm gonna try and do these things every day. And I feel like, or I'm hoping, that by listing these things out like this, I'll be able to review what I want to do each day, and I'll be able to remind myself why it's important. And the pen and ink I'm using on this page is the pink TWSBI Eco in fine nib, and the ink I have in here is one of the few inks I actually have a bottle of rather than just samples, and it's Diamine Graphite. And it's a pretty neat color because it's a very dark gray, but it also kind of has a green tint to it. I really like it a lot. I would like a cooler, bluer gray as well, but I'm still kind of looking for the perfect ink for that. And in order to outline all this grid that I'm gonna be filling in, I'm specifically using a micron pen instead of a fountain pen because they are waterproof, and pretty much every fountain pen ink that I use on a regular basis is not waterproof. And I want to be able to use my Tombow dual brush pens to fill in these squares with color. And so if I use a fountain pen, I wouldn't be able to do that without smearing the fountain pen ink all over the page every time, because Tombow dual brush pens are mostly water, and so brushing water over the top of the fountain pen would definitely smear it. And this pen actually ran out of ink while I was making this spread. I kind of noticed that it was getting kind of hard to write with near the end of the page, and I opened it up and looked, and it was almost completely dry. So I kind of improvised, and I reduced the amount of this ink that I was using on this page and filled it in with the Diamine Graphite, and I got just enough ink out of this pen to finish something that looks complete. This is one reason that I'm really a huge fan of my TWSBI pens, is because they're all demonstrators, well, except for the precision, but most of my TWSBI pens are demonstrators, so I can see exactly how much ink I have left all the time. Lamy does have this little window, but you have to tilt the pen a certain way to even really see the ink levels, and it's easy to forget to check because it's not just right there in your face like the demonstrators are. And then you also have the converter is much smaller than this huge ink reservoir in the TWSBI pens. But that does mean that I get to try a lot more inks in the Lamy pens because they run out more often, so I get to refill them, which is kind of like a really fun ritual part of fountain pen ownership, is just the process of cleaning and refilling. It's very exciting. I always look forward to days when I can use new ink in my pens. My gratitude page is exactly the same as always, just a very simple log with space to write down what I'm grateful for each day. It's such a nice moment of reflection, and I really like to have this in here even if I don't really go back and read what I was grateful for on whatever day of last month. I don't go back and read it. It's not a log for like history's sake. It's really just the act of writing things down, the act of thinking about what I'm grateful for. It's a bright moment in my day. And for my expense tracker this month, I'm gonna surprise everybody, even myself, and actually do something different. Instead of filling in all my transactions in kind of a graph format, I'm just gonna write down what I bought and why. I think keeping things simple this month is going to be a real benefit for me. And so to jazz things up, I added these lines for each day, and I'm just going to split it right down the middle. I thought I might add some kind of color code in this first box, and maybe green if I was within budget, and red if I wasn't, or something like that. But I think keeping things simple like this is going to make my bullet journal a more welcoming place for me when I'm so busy. And that's pretty much it for this month. Keeping things simple, some nice basic ink decorations, a little bit of marker here and there. I'm going to do a quick flip through of what I set up for you this month, or for me, I guess is more accurate. And I just want to thank you guys for watching, and I want to thank you for being patient. It did take me longer than normal to get this out there. I'll be back next week with an art video and hopefully another bullet journaling video. And I hope you got something out of this one that you can use in your own planning, and I hope your September goes well. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.